Very good afternoon, everyone. Apologies for the echo. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on behalf of Team Medlearn. In a few minutes, we would be starting the program, so I request your patience for a few more minutes. Thank you so much.
Very good afternoon to one and all. This is Ashwini from Medlearn. I would like to start off by thanking each one of you for taking time to participate in today's panel discussion. The reason we are here today is to gather opinions and attitudes about the topic, making training impactful for hospital workforce. To allow the conversation to flow more freely, I would like to introduce a quick vetted moderator, Miss Mary Elizabeth. Mary has rich experience of 19 years in healthcare industry and played a vital role in nursing operations, training and development, and nursing quality assurance. She has worked in a chain of hospitals like Cloud9, HCG, Manipal, Sparsh, and OCAD. Currently working with Medlearn as Senior Manager, Content Strategy. With this brief intro, I hand over the discussion to Mary. Over to you, Mary.
Mary, you're on mute. Kindly unmute yourself. You're on mute, Mary.
Shubhashri, requesting you to confirm if I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible.
So, very good afternoon, and thank you, Ms. Ashwini, for introducing. It's a pleasure to invite each one of you, beginning from our special invitees, our panelists, the other participants from various hospitals associated with Medlearn, and the other enthusiastic participants, and my fellow organizers from Medlearn. So I'm sure all of us will agree that language, words and communication form the very foundation of our existence as human beings. Effective communication among professionals is the key in order to ensure right, standard, and uniform care delivery, especially in hospital or healthcare settings. Hospital always aims at delivering uniform and standard care, but there is always a diversity among healthcare professionals for various reasons. This could be because of their basic educational status they come from, their level of technical competencies, and their language proficiency. All this definitely throw a challenge at the hospitals when they aim at delivering uniform or standard care to the patients. Hospital training is definitely a complex process. Hospitals always drive and thrive in order to take up comprehensive training programs to align the staffs coming with diversity, to stick on and adhere to what is called the organizational practices and also the standard accreditation body requirements. But there is always a higher level of challenge when it comes to training specific group of staffs in the hospitals. Example, the support staff, like the housekeeping, the Group D assistants, or the clinical care associates. Hospital support staff's training, as I mentioned, is definitely a challenge that is at a higher level. Why? Because there is definitely an indefinite training plan. Like when compared to all other departments in the hospital, the training plan for the support staff is always a question. It may exist or it may just partially be existent. There's always a major language barrier when it comes to support staff. When I say language barrier, not everyone will understand English, which is used as a language of communication. Not everyone may participate well and understand, comprehend, and implement whatever they are learning in something that is taught in English. The other challenge is the support staff may have minimal or no formal education. These are all the challenges when it comes to support staff training. Understanding this challenge, MedLearn, as the standard training partner to many of the hospital and healthcare industry, has brought a unique, simple, and innovative approach of healthcare training in local language for the support staff team. I'm here to formally launch and take ahead this panel discussion to have an in-depth understanding on hospital support staff training. What are the challenges that the hospital face? What is the need for an impactful training in the hospital? How is it going to benefit the hospital? When I say hospital, it's the staff, the department, the internal customer, and the external customer, which is the patient, who is the center of all care delivered. So let's hear from the healthcare industry experts who are our panelists for today. It's a proud moment and a privilege for me and the entire team of MedLearn to introduce our panelists to take up the panel discussion ahead. Our first panelist will speak about challenges faced by hospitals in the training of support staff. I proudly introduce Mr. Dheeraj V. Advani, sir, CHRO, KD Hospital, Ahmedabad. Mr. Dheeraj, sir, is the Chief Human Resource Officer and Head, Marcom at HT, KD Hospital, Ahmedabad. He oversees talent management, doctor's cell, succession planning, organizational and performance management, training and development, compensation and benefits with strong branding acumen. He specialized in human resource from XLRI Jamshedpur. He is skilled in designing strategies, multi-channel communication strategies, trained in formulating CXO level compensation and benefits that support the company's business objectives. His strategic planning aligns with both corporate and brand goals, which is designed to deliver measurable results. Therefore, I warmly welcome Mr. Dheeraj V. Advani, sir, CHRO KD Hospital, Ahmedabad, to start the panel discussion with the topic. I would stop sharing and I request sir to please share his screen.
Hi, Mary. Am I audible?
Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for organizing this webinar, which is of utmost importance.
Sir, we are unable to hear you.
Okay, just a second.
Audible, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a very important topic that you guys have come up with on the challenges that as a industry that we are facing on the training of the support staff. right? So let me start by sharing that there was a research which was done by McKinsey Group of companies. Uh, during they wanted to launch a very big industrial project in Mexico, and the whole challenge was the attraction of talent and the local language. That was, one of the major challenges that they faced in terms of number one was recruitment, and second one was training them to assimilate them into the new organization structure. So that was one of the eye opener for different industries, because McKinsey being the mother of all the consultant groups, so they released a study, and their study, it is all available on the internet. I can suggest everyone to just Google it. It is available there. So it clearly says that how important it is for any organization or any industry to undergo the training. And because there may be a lot of things that come up during the expansion plans of any business, and there is where the importance of attraction of local talent is. So then, when it comes to the attraction of local talent, it has to be, obviously, you can get any numbers from different metro cities and build up a senior management team, but they have to be aligned with the support staff, which is the foundation of any organization. So the support staff needs to be trained in such a way that they are aligned with the business goals. They speak the local language. So the language is again a barrier, as you guys have rightly picked up that you want to now start your trainings and other things in the local language, and that's a very good initiative. And I must compliment the Medlearn team to come up with this initiative. So uh, coming back to there has to be uniformity in the terms of delivering the right product, in terms of, okay, what is the overall goal of the organization. So the alignment of support staff needs to be there with the senior management goals and the vision of the uh, industry. For us, it is the hospital industry. So, we need to learn why the international market is progressing at a faster pace than our Indians, because the first thing they do is they check how good you are taking care of your down the line support staff. So I remember a factory visit when I had been to one of the factories in Maharashtra. There we had people coming from Mercedes, that is a German company. Everybody knows Mercedes. So when the senior people they came, they were not interested into seeing how the automation and how the plant is working. They were more interested into seeing that how well the factory people are taking care of their staff in terms of their well-being, how well they are trained into handling the equipments, and all of the complexities are broken down into small steps. So when you are hiring a person who is not educated, who is supporting the business model, they have a limited understanding as to how things are. So for them, everything is a complex situation. So that has to be broken down into small scenarios when they actually reach the larger goal. So having said that, that is another example that I had been through, and that basically says it all. Why these people are doing better in terms of if you put a comparative against us. So another thing I would like to share is the model that we all should adopt is to first let them unlearn, then let them learn, and then let them relearn. So when a person comes from any background, the first most important thing is that we try to train them in how we want. But first, we need to give a breather to them to unlearn to certain things that they uh, have learned before. And that's why I emphasize to my team also that it is always better to hire a fresher than probably hiring a little experienced staff, because a fresher is like a raw slate. You can actually train the person and make him more productive and shape him in the way you want, comparatively to, you can say, a experienced person. You will have to start the wagon wheel in such a way that you have to put a lot of effort into unlearning, and that is more troublesome than making somebody directly learn. So you are actually missing a step. So when I'm talking about unlearn, learn, and relearn, so in unlearn is something that lot of effort goes for the person to be getting accustomed to new uh, training techniques, the culture of the organization. Because I come from hospital industry, so obviously I'll tell you about hospitals and all. uh, these are certain things that we should emphasize on whenever a person is coming. The, the 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 most challenging situation is that he's already having a background. Then second comes the where you have picked up the right topic of having the local language. It is like connecting to your mother. It is like everybody is close to their mother, and this is like mostly like a mother. I mean, I'm sitting in Ahmedabad, so Gujarati is the local language. Every person, be it at a smaller level or at a management level, the person is always close to the mother, and this local language connect is like connecting to your own mother. And when you are going to teach them in their language, obviously the challenges are going to reduce, because it is going to attract more people, and now they will also be interested to learn in terms of, because you have now facilitated them in their own language. So that is a very good step taken by your team, Medlearn. And the other challenges that we normally face is uh, that you train the person, and then the person who you have trained, there is a attrition at the support staff level. So at our this thing, we talk about security, we talk about housekeeping, we talk about patient care attenders and all. So what they do is there is a lot of attrition happening. So the process of training is a continuous process that needs to be there. So what we have done is, internally we have tried to design a very simple laid down process, wherein any person who joins, first the person goes through the processes of the particular department that the person is posted into. It is, let's take an example, even if it is our own staff or it is support staff, we consider all of them as one when it comes for training. So the person first understands the process. There is a calendar that is being defined, which is nothing but these are certain steps which is laid down. It is extracted from the, you can say that it is extracted from the departmental manual, which is there. The hospital follows NABH, JCI, or other accreditation guidelines. Basically, this is an extract of that. So the person first is not put on the job, which is usually the problem. Which is usually the problem in any industry. You hire a person, you put him on the job, and then you expect that the person should start performing from day one. And we need to understand that any person, and I mean, in fact, if you go about people, what challenges we are facing for support staff. So this is one of the major challenges, that we put them on the job on day one without even training them. And in a hospital, what happens is that they are more exposed to other medical things which can be harmful for them. So in our hospital, what do we follow is we follow a normal calendar, which is extracted from the departmental manual.
Hello, sir. Sir, am I audible? I apologize. Possibly there's a connectivity issue. Let me just check. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll just quickly wrap up, and I think we have to give other panelists also equal time to share their thoughts also. So basically, I would again, emphasize on that people should be trained before they are put on the job, not directly putting them on the job and then expecting them to perform. As any person entering into the organization as a newcomer would also need certain breathing space to understand the culture, to understand the routine. And if a person is a support staff, then that means the literacy level is very low as compared to other people or other staff who are more literate. Even they require that kind of time. So for support staff, of course, we need to give them time too. Even though when we have a very high attrition, we should emphasize more on creating a lot of plan Bs, understanding that the plan A is going to fail because of high attrition in the support staff. I think that will be all from my side, Mary. And thank you again. MedLearn is a very good platform, and I must encourage everyone to use it. And they are young, innovative people coming up with different ideas. So I think, wish you all the best. Thank you, Mary. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, it was a pleasure hearing to you. So thank you so much on behalf of me and the entire team of MedLearn and the participants. I can see some hands already being raised there for some questions probably. So I would request the participants, enthusiastic participants, to just hold on and give us time. At the end of this panel discussion, we will have separate time allotted for question and answer session. So to bring out the key points, I've just jotted them down so that you will have visual of what Mr. Dheeraj sir has brought up to us as well. So, sir, thank you so much for the research insight you had given us. You had helped us in noting the key points, saying identifying the right source is the key and the important aspect when you think about any resource for the hospital industry and especially the support staff. Support staff should be supported with the local language. Definitely, that was an emphasis from your end. Break down the complex situation into small scenarios that helps them understand the process easily and helps them dive deep into what is expected. Unlearn, learn, and relearn. This was the key highlights which Sir had brought in because there's diversities from the staff's group who join any organization. Hire freshers versus different thought perspective. He has support for the freshers because it's easy to train them and they are faster to adopt. So there's a big support from Sir for the freshers as well. Local language connect is like connecting to your own mother. So connecting to your mother is a warmer aspect. It's a comfort zone for all of us. So this is what is the key again that drives you to adopt to any learning process very soon. Orientation to the departmental process is a definite process that is adopted by KD Hospital is something that is definitely a model for all of us to look at. Train before you expose them to work atmosphere was a big advice from sir. Thank you so much. And staff safety, ensuring staff safety at every point of care that is delivered or every aspect of work they render was something that sir is emphasized again on. Thank you so much, sir, for the key highlights. I now proceed with the introduction of the second panelist, who's going to talk about need for an impactful and innovative training for the support staff team in the hospitals. I'm proud and privileged on behalf of Medlearn to invite Dr. Dimpi Gupta, Head of the Department Learning and Development, Indus Hospitals. Dr. Dimpi Gupta brings with her an MBA in Hospital and Healthcare Management from Symbiosis International Pune and a graduate in dentistry from Baba Farid University. Dr. Dimpi Gupta is the head of the Department of Learning and Development at Indus Hospital. Her responsibilities are orientation and training of about 2,500 employees at 8 different hospitals of Indus Group. She is also the product manager of Suksar, Herbal Pharma Division, involved in event management, medical and general administration and operations, quality control, sales and marketing and branding, relationship management, and business developments are all our key areas of expertise. Dr. Dimpi has written many articles for social networking websites and and leading newspapers in India and abroad. She has been awarded the Best Women Writer 2022 title by Preetnama, a USA media group. I'm proud, Dr. Dimpi, for having this privilege to invite you as a second panelist. Over to Dr. Dimpi. Dr. Dimpi, ma'am, I would stop my presentation, screen sharing, and request you to share. And over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Dimpi this side. Thank you, Mary, for the introduction, and thank you, Medlearn team, for inviting me and also to give me privilege to hand over this platform where I can present my views on the topic need for an impactful and innovative training for the support staff team in the hospital. To start with, first I would like to discuss like why training is important for the medical staff. We are working in a hospital industry. So the medical staff is there are doctors, there's nursing, and then there is the ancillary staff. So training is a very important part, plays a major role in a hospital industry, in a service industry. So to discuss the important points, so training is very important for the medical staff to maintain high standards of care quality, to maintain a quality care, to ingrain the necessary behaviors, attitudes, skills, and knowledge to deliver high quality, safe, person-centered care. And then it is imperative to operate a successful medical practice. Also, it builds the morale. It sends a message that yes, the company is investing. The company is investing in the staff success. It makes them feel valued, and then definitely it increases their productivity. It increases the company productivity. It makes the employee more efficient. And increased efficiency definitely means the increased office productivity and the increased profitability, productivity. Then it helps in the risk management. For example, the sexual harassment or the emergency situation. If your staff is trained, it will definitely help in practice to mitigate risk. Then it enhances the practice image. Definitely, when the staff is trained, your working force is trained, it will fuel your reputation among patients as well as your competitors. You will have more satisfied patients, and then it will increase your referral source, the referral business, and it will bring in new patients, more patients. Then the areas where your employees may benefit from the training, and that includes the technology, the problem solving, and the collaboration. When your staff is trained, it will help them to operate the medical equipment. They will have even the basic computer skills, and it will improve the communication. Your educated staff will be able to communicate with the patients, clinical staff, and insurance providers. And definitely, it will result in more productivity and increased business strategies. If you talk about problem solving, definitely if your staff is educated, trained, they will be able to react better in certain situations, and then they will be able to work better independently. So you're making them self-dependent. Then teamwork is a very important aspect when it comes to service industry. All the departments, they have to work in collaboration. So teamwork is a very important part of operating an efficient medical practice. So offering your medical staff training on how to collaborate and better function as a team is very imperative. Now, if I talk about support staff or the ancillary staff or the auxiliary staff, what's their role in a medical industry or a service industry? So they play a very important part of the healthcare professionals. They're directly or indirectly involved in rendering safe, secure, and quality service to your patients, and it contributes to the healthcare outcomes. And now, who all constitutes the ancillary staff? So, housekeeping is there, who are involved in the cleaning of your premises, basically. Then the GDF, that means the general duty assistant or the patient service assistant, and the security. Also the clinical assistant and the porters. So now why training of the staff is important? Why this ancillary staff to be trained? So if I talk about, let's take an example. If I talk about security or your housekeeping or your GDS staff. So if your staff won't be trained, won't be educated enough, they will fail to protect the patient and the staff. Unintentionally, they will be able to escalate a situation. There will be security threats. So your hospital need to be prepared to handle each of these very different but common scenarios. Now, the proper safety and the security measures have to be there in your organization, in a hospital industry, so that you can decrease the chances of a threat. And you all know there are a number of threats that a hospital industry or any organization can face. Now, what are the most critical areas for the security staff? In what all areas they have to be trained? For example, there is the emergency medical treatment and the active labor law or the act. Then the other is where they need to be trained is the de-escalation techniques, customer service, CPR or the first aid or the AED, evacuation procedures, emergency preparedness, fire safety, or the other safety protocols. They must be aware about all that. And transcultural healthcare, patient restraints, and watches the Joint Commission standards. So the security officers who are trained, they can positively impact a healthcare facility's safety and security, and as well as the patient satisfaction. So customer delight, the patient satisfaction, that is the most important part that a service industry, the hospital is looking for. So the facility has a unique needs that can be fulfilled only your workforce if your workforce or the ancillary staff is trained enough. Now, if I talk about, we have talked about the security staff. If I talk about the housekeeping or the GDS staff, so every hospital administrator or every patient would need cleanliness. That is a prime factor. And that is a prime factor in reducing the nosocomial infection or the healthcare associated infection, and to promote safety and to improve the patient satisfaction scores. Now, if I talk about training in the case of the ancillary staff, if we talking about the housekeeping or the GDS staff in particular. So we talk about classroom training and the on-job training, the OJT. So when we talk about classroom training about the housekeeping staff, it involves the basic related to the housekeeping industry. And if I talk about the OJT, it is responsible for the requirements of a specific medical facility. Now, a proper classroom training, what all it includes? What all is required for the housekeeping staff? In what all aspects the housekeeping staff has to be trained? So it may include the basic bacteriological concepts, infection control, the most important for each and every staff member in the hospital, and the universal precautions, the standard precautions, the relating duty functions to that area, then obtaining the use, care of supplies and equipments, and the selection and the measurements of proper cleaning chemicals. Then measuring the quality of work performance, including the evaluation of the cleaning effectiveness. Now, the basic protocols, the main protocols, if we talk about the quality, if we talk about the NABA, JCI, and all those accreditations. So it includes the fire prevention, the ground safety, the employee health, universal precautions, personal protective equipment, PPE. So these are the major areas where the staff must be trained. So the cleaning of high septic areas. Now, the role of housekeeping in a facility and its effect on the health and well-being of the patient, staff, and visitors. Employee personal hygiene is very important. Every staff should be aware and be trained on the same topic. Now, the patient and the personal relations, medical waste disposal, that is the biomedical waste disposal, and the safety data sheet, that how you have to handle if there is a chemical, if there is a spill, the hazardous spill. So all that has to be, these are the basic topics in which the basic topics wherein our ancillary staff should be trained. Now the OJT, when we talk about the on-job training, so it includes not only the familiarization within the safety requirements of a specific facility, but also teaching the overall culture of the hospitality. That means making your staff aware about the mission, vision, values of the organization. Then, but now this training, it helps move the good housekeeping from theory to practice. Now, just simply having industrial cleaning equipments in your facility doesn't mean your facility is clean. You should, the staff should know equipment, then how to use it correctly, and then when, where, and how to use these different cleaning methods and equipment so that your facility should be in proper shape. Now, the OSHA, that is Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration, it also requires it. For example, I will give you an example. The new silica dust standard, for example, states that the employee must be trained on the following. That means that are related or associated with exposure to silica dust, the specific tasks that put employees at risk, and the specific measures to prevent its exposure. So your staff want more safe training. Now, what is the result if there's lack of training in a healthcare priority? Sadly, most of our corporates or the healthcare workers or the hospital administrators, they give less priority to these trainings. And what it will result in? It will result in the data privacy and the security breaches, inadequate documentation, impacting reimbursements, compliance risk, patient safety risk, low staff morale and high turnover, then reduce employee productivity, stress management, and legal issues. So the lack of training in healthcare, it will result in unhappy employees, unsafe working environment, low patient satisfaction, increased business expenses. Now, what is the benefit of staff training in healthcare? That is just the reverse of it. In contrary, if we are training our workforce, it may take a lot of time, effort, and patience, but definitely it will have a high result. It will improve the retention, it will increase the staff morale, and they are creating a positive, motivated, and competent workforce. So it will overall result in improved work satisfaction and profitability. Now, if we have to overcome a lack of training, how we have to identify the problem? That's a gap analysis. So whenever there's a gap that in the training it exists, we will see a particular issue, a kind of issue again and again, again and again. So that means there's a problem. The same problem is happening again and again, and that is what we need to identify. We have to identify an existing policy, or there can be knowledge deficit. So we have to find a cost-effective solution. We have to implement a proper training program. So now what is a cost-effective option to combat the lack of training in healthcare? Now, the training staff, it may cost money, but the formal training, it is a very high return on investment. And the payoff, it includes the employee retention. I'm repeating this again and again. The payoff, it includes the employee retention, increased morale, practice efficiency, job competency, and higher patient satisfaction scores. And the bottom line is the healthcare personnel, the ancillary staff, or any staff you're employed, they are trained. It will not improve the profits only without having excellent, caring, and highly trained employees. So if you want to increase your business, you need to have a highly trained working staff. Now, what are the gaps that exist in the support staff training? It includes the improper or the non-existence of the training plan. There's always uncertainty with regards to the ancillary staff training, and that is what is to be taught, how it is to be taught, and how much is understood, how much is implemented, and what is the overall impact. What is the overall impact? That is the most important point. I repeat it again. Now, there is a need for an awakening that ancillary staff, the support staff training cannot be compromised. And the organization or the healthcare industry should have a plan as to they would have how they have to drive an impactful training. So the support staff would need to be trained to work ensuring safety and quality in every aspect of the care delivered. After all, we are dealing with the life of the patient and we cannot compromise on the quality for sure. Now, if we talk about Medline's role, as we are dealing with Medline for the last 1 year, so Medline had played a major role. If I talk about my hospital, Indus Hospital, where I work as HOD L&D department, so the Medline has played a very major role. So to discuss the role the Medline has played, so the quality learning around the clock at your fingertips. You can train your staff on the phones at any time. You can assess the learning anytime, anywhere, on any device. Then it is a one-stop learning solution for your healthcare staff. It helps you to assign, track, and report the progress of the learning on a regular basis. Then the access to the high quality training material. It has been prepared by the experts at the MedLearn. So it is a very high quality training material. Then it is using the innovative features and functionalities, which will help streamline and keep the staff engaged and motivated. Then the assessment thing. Every course is accompanied by quizzes and so many things that definitely the industry experts must have prepared it. So it helps in assessing the competency of the employee on specific topics. Then the training records, you can maintain the individual training records of every employee. So we are having almost 3,000 employees working at our Indus hospital. So we are having training record of each and every employee with us now. So it has benefits for the hospital also and the healthcare staff also, if I talk about. If I talk about the benefits that the Medline platform has for the hospital, this learning platform is having for the hospital, it meets our compliance requirements. As our hospital is NABH accredited, so we have to present many audits and then the reports. So the comprehensive audit trails and employee training records are there. Then it helps in the talent management as it standardizes and streamlines training across various facilities in one centralized system. Now, it also helps in driving the better patient and organizational outcomes. So when we are having the well-trained staff, it will reduce chances of the medical errors, which will lead to better patient satisfaction, better patient safety, and security. And then definitely it will build a culture focused on quality of care. Now, it has helped reducing the cost also because it is a virtual learning environment which will help dependency on the physical classrooms. It helps in the paper wastage also. Then virtual training programs, they are easy to scale for a larger number of employees. We are able to cover more number of employees with the help only in one session. So now if I talk about the benefits it has for the healthcare staff, it will improve the learning outcomes. Definitely, it enables the healthcare professional, the healthcare worker, to study at their own pace whenever they are having the time, and they can also access information they need from the procedural guidelines. Now, it is also improving our workforce efficiency. We're ready to use training. We are having the ready to use content is there. Assessments are there. That is very reliable and it is assessment. And it definitely eliminates the effort in manually administering, evaluating, and recording the results of assessments. And then we are having the administrative control. We are able to assign these, track our employee learning, and test them from the self-assessment. So if I talk about, especially talk about this ancillary staff or the sports staff, so I would request Medline, their local language thing, whatever the training initiative is very good. Because definitely, as Dr. Dheeraj has also elucidated, that they are uneducated or their IQ level is less. So we may have audio and visual presentations and verbal test and recording for them. So in the end, I would like to conclude that my experience with Medlearn, so I must say that Medlearn is an ideal partner to manage support staff training or the hospital staff training with creativity, innovation, and simplicity. Thank you so much. Mary, over to you.
Thank you so
Hello.
much, Dr. Dimpy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the insightful thoughts that you've expressed with your expertise on the need of impactful training, beginning from how you would plan and what is the benefits of it for the overall success of the organization. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you, Doc. Moving on, we'll have the next panelist 3, who would be speaking about high-level impact of support staff training on the internal and external customer and the organization. I'm privileged to introduce Dr. Shrikant Patankar, MD Psychiatry, Consultant Psychiatrist, and NABH Quality Coordinator at Ashwini Sahakari Rugnalaya Hospital, Solapur. So over to you, sir. I've stopped sharing my screen, so you can share your screen, sir.
Thank you, Mary. Am I audible?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. So if we could have your volume increased a bit.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So good evening. Thank you, Mary and Midland team for inviting me to express my thoughts on this topic. Majority of the participants I take are from middle management and HR department. Let me start my talk by telling you a story. Stories are liked by everyone. Henry Ford was once asked, if you lose all your men, machine, and money, and you have to start again, what would you start with? And Ford famously answered, I will start with my men, people, because they are the most important asset of any organization. And now, how do we nurture this most important asset of our organization? Training, training, and training. You see, from management point of view, these support staff, I take them, these to be the resident doctors, the nurses, the housekeeping people, the technicians, the ward boys and ayas, the biomedical people, the electrical engineers, security staff, etc., etc. Most of the hospitals, for the consultants, most of them are at par. Most of the consultants are undergoing regular training. They have to keep up to date. And regarding the rest of the staff, majority of the patients have an interaction for a few minutes with the consultant, but for few hours with the support staff, especially the nurses, the housemen, and even the ward boys and ayas. We have to remember the patient comes to a hospital not just to get well, but also to feel well. And that feel well, the feel good feeling comes not only from getting well, not only from getting well within the budget of the patient, but also from the experience that the patient has, either in the OPD or in the indoor, till the time that he is discharged and even at the time of follow-up. Now, this feeling, how are we going to measure it? We usually measure it through the patient feedback forms. Are we really seriously taking those feedback forms and acting on them? That's very vital, because when we talk about training, as we know, our hospital, we are placed in Solapur, and our hospital is an NABH as well as NABL fully accredited hospital with multi-speciality. Here we find that the training is required in multiple areas. One part is the skills, maybe nursing skills. The technician has to learn how to do his job properly. Along with that, the behavioral skills. These are all the soft skills, which are also very important. And this training, for the management point of view, with a hospital like ours, which is almost 80-90% occupancy continuously, sometimes 100%, the problem is finding the time and the resources for training. Now, here, technology helps us, say, in the form of this MedLearn platform. But just doing the training is not enough. Our job primarily is to find out our own training needs, assessing our training needs, defining them, and then putting them into the training calendar. That is the most vital part. And here, the partnership with a training platform like MedLearn is also equally important in the sense that we have to tell the Medlearn people that these are our needs, these are the things that we need to train. We don't want to do reinvent the wheel. We don't want to do training in the primary minor things which our people are already trained. These training needs are going to change over a period of time. So every department head and especially the HR people will have to continuously assess the training needs, modify their training topics, and decide on which topics can be done on MedLearn platform, which topics have to be done in a classroom, and which topics have to be done at bedside. Now, this is most important. This is important from the point of view of our own trainees or our own staff also. The previous speakers have already mentioned about the well-being of the staff. To reduce the stress of work, it's very important that one should have the knowledge of what one is doing. One should be confident about what he or she is doing, and one should get a positive feedback when something good is going on. Now, these three factors, through training, we can do this by identifying the needs of training. That way, we are taking care of the gaps in the knowledge. The person becomes more confident, more efficient in the sense less time, less effort, and more effectiveness. With this, naturally, our employees' morale goes on improving. Someone has already said about being aligned with the vision and mission of the hospital. The top management itself, when the top management is ready to spend efforts, money, as well as time for development of this important asset of our organization, then this asset, these people will also be more loyal, there will be less attrition, and their stress levels will definitely go down. As we all are aware, to improve the efficiency, what we are doing is we are protocolizing everything. Whatever we do, it should be uniform throughout the hospital. Say, for example, someone greeting a patient, it can be namaste, then that namaste has to be followed by everyone else. Someone saying namaste, someone saying hi, how are you? That is not acceptable. Uniformity in simple greeting. The same thing is uniformity in the care. That's what is essential. Then the patients also, when there is a uniformity, there is less chance of chaos. And less chaos, more comfortable everyone is in that environment. So mind you, what we have to remember this, what we have to remember in our minds is that we have to, as management is ultimately interested in getting a greater footfall. When will the greater footfall, and that is going to reflect uh, in the balance sheet. So greater footfall is going to come only through mouth publicity of the patients. So whatever the patients are experiencing in our hospital, mind you, not just the clinical care, simple experience. Take for example a technical skill. A technician who pricks the patient 3 or 4 times getting a blood, well, that is not a good experience for the patient. So now the technical skill matters a lot. Secondly, again, giving you the example of the same technician who is collecting blood sample. Most of the patients are pretty anxious about having a prick, having that injection, having the needle going into the body. The way the technician talks to the patient, explains to the patient, all that matters in reducing the anxiety of the patient, and that is going to give greater comfort to the patient. So the behavioral training as well as the skills training, both these matter a lot. In skills training, along with skills training, we have got one more training that is essential. That is, in a way, it's a background kind of training. It's the training in the infection control measures. We all know that hospital-acquired infection is something that the patients may not be aware of, but that is going to affect the patient's morbidity as well as mortality. The length of stay is also going to matter a lot. Reducing the length of the stay for the patient by taking the proper measures, everyone properly being trained in the infection control and patient safety measures, that is going to go a long way in the sense you reduce the average length of stay, a loss. That is going to give not only that increased turnover of the hospital, but for the patients also lesser economic burden. So greater effectiveness, lesser economic burden, naturally greater satisfaction. That patient is more likely to refer the patients back further of his relatives and acquaintances back to our hospital. So in these matters, this is the way our training is going to help the hospital, help the patients, help it economically, help it in a clinical way. If we remember this, so in short, I would say this: first, assess our training needs. They are going to change over time and they are going to change from hospital to hospital. Number two, actual training. What is the best method? Training platform like Medlan is good for many ways, but not in every way. So we have to the HR people and the department heads have to use their sense to find out which method is the best. Third, partner with your training people like your Medlan, explaining to them the needs. Fourth, supervise. Fifth, reassess the effectiveness of the training. And after a reassessment, again go back to the first step, assess the further needs of training. Now here, a platform like Medlearn, which gives us, using the technology, gives us the feedback on their performances through the pre and post test, etc. That is very valuable in planning of these kind of trainings. And this way, I think we have been partnering with Medlearn since last 2 years, and we are still in the process of improving. Always we have to remember one thing: the biggest room in the world for improvement is the room for improvement. Biggest room space in the world is for the room for improvement. There is always, we are always going to get better than what we are today and what will be better tomorrow. So from that point of view, if we go on training these people using the platforms like Midland, which I find has been quite useful, I think our hospitals will do well. Our patients will be benefited maximally, and that should be our final target. So thank you very much for calling me and allowing me to express my views on this training and the management point of view, why management feels it very important. Thank you. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you so much, sir. So thank you so much, Dr. Shrikant, sir, for highlighting on high-level impact of support staff training on the internal and external customer and the organization. Beginning from the role of management, how important it is, how much involved should the management be in training each of their staff to deliver uniform care. Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful session. Moving on, it is a privilege for me to express a few thoughts and to introduce to you the local language training for the support staff. So I would formally be taking you ahead with the introduction of the local language training program. Medlearn presently has around 400 institutions in India who have adopted us in the last 3 years. We have over 100,000 healthcare professionals like nurses, doctors, customer experience staff, paramedics who are utilizing us as a training partner. More than 1 million hours of training is being delivered through Medlearn, and Indian hospitals love Medlearn as their training partner. I have moved a couple of my slides because the experts in the panel have already given a lot of insights about the challenges, the need for impactful training, and management's role. How can management bring the attention of it onto their support staff and build them in order to deliver uniform care? So, not going back on what are the benefits or how and what are the challenges that hospital face with the support staff, or what are the gaps that is identified. I move on directly to the benefits. So, with the launch of our local language training program, employer and employee, both of them would have the benefits. Employer, when we talk about, it is going to help them have standard yet specific learning training content. We are bringing audio visually driven learning experience, well timed and quick to learn modules. This motivates the employees and kindles their drive to learn more in a very short span, because I'm sure you'll agree that the healthcare professionals are very, very busy. So there's this content that is developed is in adherence with the standard requirements or practice requirements as per the hospital standards and also accreditation body standards. It benefits the employer further because, as Sir was mentioning, Dr. Shrikant sir, Mr. Dheeraj sir, and also Dr. Dimpy, training is always a process. So with this local language training, we also help you in having a pre-assessment, assessing the knowledge level of the employee, delivering the training, giving a post-assessment, attendance capture, feedback analysis in order to improvise the training plan for the employee, and also a certification. And this helps you to get an entire training overview. This helps you in improving the employees' learning. Therefore, they are productive and they deliver high standard and uniform care as per the organization's expectations. Overall employee satisfaction contributing to employee retention is the key from this training program. With this, we can drive what is called as customer satisfaction. When we say customer, it is both internal customer, who are the employees of the organization, and also the external customer, who are the patient and the core and center of the care that we deliver. Therefore, it overall leads to organizational success. The list of local language training program has the particular topics: hand hygiene, biomedical waste management, needle stick injury, standard precautions, spill management, isolation precautions, safe transfer of patient, patient safety, and care of vulnerable patient. These are key topics that is taken, keeping in mind the hospital infection control practices, quality assurance, the most key aspects in which all the support staff employees would be involved. These topics are also developed based on the recommendations from our present client hospitals who wanted us to highlight and focus on these topics. So this is the list of training topics that is available with the local language. Local language training is available in the following languages. That is 8 languages: Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam. With this insightful session, the panel discussion, the thoughts from the experts from the healthcare industry, we from Medlearn invite you to join hands with Medlearn as your training partner. Now it's time for the question and answer session. So the participants are requested, in case you have any questions, we have our panelists who are ready, who are pleased to give the answers to the questions. And we had a couple of questions in the chat box as well. So I would just read out these questions. By then, if the participants are ready with their questions, you can shoot them. Mr. Mohammed brings this question: how to motivate staff to attend training as they are least concerned and they have to sit after their duty hours, as hospitals cannot afford to have support staff to attend training during their working hours. I request any of our panelists to take this question up and respond to Mr. Mohammed. Dr. Dimpy, ma'am. I think you muted, ma'am. If you can, if you can support us with your expert opinion on this question.
Hi, Mary. Can you please repeat the question? Can you
Yes,
please
ma'am.
repeat the question again?
How to motivate staff to attend training as they are least concerned about it, and they have to sit for long hours after duty, and also hospital cannot afford the support staff to attend training during their working hours.
Yes, yes, yes. So for this, I suggest we need cooperation from the hospital management in this regard. So we have to allocate 30 to 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes every day, or on the alternate days for this ancillary staff. We have to make a schedule in a way that we have to make different groups, like group containing 5 to 10 people, or we can also motivate on the job training, like on the workstations. We can go there and we can give training to the staff, and then we can form groups also, group A, B, C, and so on. And like we have to make a timetable or a calendar, so that way we can tackle with this issue. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I can Mary just add.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
can
Please,
just
sir.
add in this is that link the training hours to the to their appraisal. Okay, and mandatory they have to attend the training hours in a month. It's not necessary that everyone goes through the training on a daily basis. I'll give you an example. I met the president of IOCL, Indian Oil. So he is a very renowned personality and stalwart. When we were into a meeting, it was almost the end of the month. You can say 28th or 29th. And he rushed into the meeting and said that, I have to go. And I said, what happened to you all of a sudden? He said that I have a training. If I do not attend my training, I will I will not be considered for my appraisal cycle at a level of a vice president of Indian Oil. And if such stalwarts of the industry are trying to set an example, of course we should be also linking the same to the compensation or the appraisal. So then it becomes little bit of mandatory for people to attend. And what we did is we don't call it training per se. Whenever you tag any of such activities as training, there is a resistance. The resistance comes from our own public when we use the word that there is a training and we need to attend. See, training is not being taken very seriously. So what you do is you call it as a refresher meet, you call it as chai pe charcha, you call it as an ice breaking session, you call it as a skip level meeting. Have skip level meetings and then have your senior people come and talk, and whatever the discussion happens out of their experience becomes a part of the training. So that is one way to look at it. How to make the training interesting also, what we have done is, as KD Hospital, we have created video libraries. So for example, if any person sitting and joining new doesn't know how to do support staff at a very junior level, less educated, doesn't know how to clean and all, so we have made video libraries. I will be very happy to share it with you, Mary, and you can put it on your platform as to, while people, everybody is interested now to see a video of 1 minute and 2 minutes. And because of the higher attrition also in the outsourced staff, again and again, training also becomes more, same topic training becomes monotonous for the trainer also. So to make it more interesting, what we have done is we have created different subjective video libraries. So there is a video of blood spillage. There is a video of handling, you can say, hand hygiene techniques. So all of this we have broken it down into different topics and created multiple videos. That's all from my side. Thank you.
So thank
And
you so much.
also, hi, Mary.
Yes,
Hi,
Dr.
Mary. I would also I agree with Dr. Dheeraj. Just one thing when we are talking about linking training with this appraisal part, the same thing we are doing at Indus hospitals also. But just one thing I would like to add, there is self-motivation. The self-motivation is very important. It should come from inside. The employee should feel motivated. They should be told what is the benefit, why they should be trained in certain things. So they should feel like getting trained. That is the most important part. And yes, this videos thing that sir has told, I would request Madeline also to share few videos. The topics that you have discussed, certain topics that you have discussed, that you were told you will be sharing the content on those few topics. So we would request if Madeline can also provide us some videos. That is my request to Madeline.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Dimpy. Thank you so much, Dheeraj sir. The participants, it's open for the question. The session is open for the question. So there are a couple of other questions, possibly one is for the MedLearn. So I take the privilege of answering this. Do you have any other training topics related to nursing? Example, communicating with the patient in OT, patient interaction during diagnostic procedures, patient interacting with the patient during admission or discharge. Certainly, MedLearn comes with a vast variety of training program, the content, which is available in the form of soft skill as well as the clinical content for anybody who belong to this department, which you mentioned, and also for any other department at the hospital, not only specific to nursing, it could be technicians. So once you get onto our platform and research, you will certainly have a big idea about what are all the contents, the vast mammoth of contents that we have, which can be catered to the hospital staff or healthcare staff. How to make training effective? That is the next question. That is a question from Mr. Tapti. How to make training effective? Any of our panelists can just, I'm sure they have given highlights about how can an effective training be brought into the hospital, but this is specifically from Mr. Tapti. So if our panelists would want to address this question, anybody, any of our panelists. Dr. Shrikant sir? Dr. Dimpy, Dr. Dheeraj sir, anybody can attend.
Yes, I would like to answer on it, Mary. So how we can create an effective training? That can be done in 7 steps. So the first step for it, that we have to assess our training needs. That is the most important in that. Assessing the training needs of the organization of a particular department, or it may vary from person to person also. Then second is we have to set the training goals and objectives. Why we want to impart a particular training for any particular person or a department or any group. Then third, we have to invest in a training technology. Like the Medline is there, the platform, the learning platform is there. So we have to invest in that training technology. The fourth, we have to choose the employee training method. There are different employee training methods. So again, we have to see the audience. It depends on that. The fifth, we have to develop training material. It may also vary from person to person and department to department. We can use presentations. We can use the audio visual method and so on. Then the sixth part is we have to implement a employee training program, a calendar or something like we have done in the Indus Hospital also, and we have shared that with your team. And the last one, but not the least, evaluate and monitor. That is the most important part. You have to evaluate and you have to monitor the employee training program. So that is all from my side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dimpy, for once again throwing light on how to have an impactful training program and be successful in it. I'm sure that must have answered the question from Mr. Tapti. I have the next question, which is from Mr. Ajay. What are the steps to increase the compliance on training programs and keep the employees excited for new assignments? Will a local language course create some pull from the paramedics, GDA, and housekeeping staff and help hospitals achieve the key objectives?
Of course, there will be a lot of attraction when we talk about the local language being one of the preferred languages for people to learn and undergo training. This is a new initiative with trial and run. You guys will come to know that this is working fine with why it has been developed. So, if you see that there are people who want to grow, if they want to grow, they don't know how to grow. So, if you provide them proper training in their local language, even a person who is not educated enough, but if a person is properly trained, he will become more efficient to do his or her job, and maybe he can go to the next level. So when you are implementing a local language training, you are in a way encouraging them to go up to the next level through the medium of training. And I'm sure people will be interested. People would be interested down the line because you have come up with the local language training. Now, this is all again, as I said, it's going to be trial and error. And I hope that works well. It also depends on important drivers. Your implementing arms are the people who are using your product in different hospitals. So they also must be touched upon again and again to emphasize the availability of the training in the local language. That's about it.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj sir. I'm sure, Mr. Ajay, that must have answered your question. Thank you, sir. We have another question to Dr. Patankar, specifically to Dr. Patankar, sir. What are the different ways to do training need analysis apart from survey and test papers and increase? I'm sorry. So, what are the different ways to do a training need analysis apart from survey and test papers and the in charges feedback? So, other than the routine ways, what are the different ways of doing a training need analysis? This is from Mr. Mohammed to Dr. Patankar, sir, in specific.
If he is not available, I can take that question and maybe answer on his behalf, or maybe if he joins in, he can add to what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
Not
sir.
going, not going through traditional methodology of how do you actually gauge if your training is in the right direction is what I have learned from market research companies. Now, whenever, let's take an example, iPhone wants to launch a new product, the first thing they do is they understand what is the need of the market. They hire a market research agencies. Now, in market research agencies, there is a concept which is called as mystery shopping. Mystery shoppers are people who will come to the hospital, who will see your processes, who will be directly your point of contact for the senior management and will tell you the inside story as to how they were treated, how your people are educated enough to treat them, and most importantly, their soft skills and other aspects. The another way of understanding if the training is going well is somebody's relative getting admitted into your own hospital. So when somebody's own relative is admitted into your own hospital, you still come to know and identify. So there is also one question which I saw on the message is the gap analysis. So this answers that question as well. When somebody's own relative is admitted, so right from you can say from admission to discharge, whatever the processes are, you can have a you can have a meeting and not go by the bookish way of traditional methodology of gauging as to how training is going to be, like pen and paper. So these are two things where you understand whether your training is going in the right direction or not. That's it, Mary.
Mary, I would like to add to this.
Please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So there are basically 5 steps, as Dr. Dheeraj has also highlighted. There are basically 5 steps when we talk about training need analysis. And that includes the first step. We have to define the strategic goals. We must know our goals. Then second, we have to outline what are the required skills and the knowledge. Then the third point goes to, like, we have to evaluate. We have to evaluate what are the current skills. And then, as Sir has discussed, Dr. Bhira discussed about the gap analysis. So fourth point is about we have to locate the performance gaps and the causes. And then the last one and the fifth one, we have to establish the training needs. So these are the basic things that are that will answer your question. Hello, Mary.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Dimpy. Dheeraj, sir. Next question is specifically to Dr. Dimpy, ma'am. Are the trainings helpful to maintain the NABH or JCI standards?
Definitely, Mary. I completely agree with that. The training is very important if we have to maintain those standards. NABH and JCI, as if we talk about NABH, it is having 10 chapters and standards and objective elements. So whatever is there, if we want to maintain those standards, training is very important part for that. It constitutes the major. We have to train our staff. As I have discussed in my PPT as well, in my discussion also, that it is very important that the staff, for the higher satisfaction index and then for the assessment and for the audits and for all those things, the training forms a very important and it forms an integral part to maintain those standards. I completely agree with that. Yes.
I'll just add and tell you, according to me, what is the difference between NABH and JCI. NABH, as per Indian standards being mandatory, it requires a lot of paperwork to be there in place. It's more of a litigative stuff. Versus JCI. JCI is something which will completely emphasize on patient care, patient care, patient care. So one is maintaining the documentation. So NABH takes care of your risk getting involved into running a hospital. And JCI again touches the training topic as if you are giving proper patient, I mean, you are providing proper patient care to your patients or not. That is my way of looking at it. Of course, people will have their own different thing, right? Right, Mary?
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Dr. Dimpy and Dheeraj, sir, on the question. That answers the question from Mr. Suresh Dadwal. Richard definitely has a question on what is the difference between NABH and JCI. I'm sure Dr. Dheeraj sir has very specifically mentioned now on the key differences. Where is the focus? What is the focus of JCI and what is the focus of NABH? Where do we have the patient-centric focus when it comes to JCI and NABH on the standards that we focus? JCI drives us more towards the patient care and patient centricity. I'm sure, Mr. Richard, it must have answered your question, sir. If you would want to further give a couple of points, Dheeraj sir, on difference between maybe in short about NABH and JCI.
Again, because JCI is nothing but it is driven from international standards. And for them, it matters a lot when it comes to a difference of life and death. So basically, their more emphasis is always on patient care to save the life and to give good care to whatever patients are getting admitted. When it comes to NABH, it is Indian driven standards. We are still learning, and that involves into doing proper paperwork, mentioning everything, documenting everything. So this safeguards you in whatever steps you are following in terms of treating the patient. That is the whole gist. I mean, I can say in nutshell the difference between NABH and JCI. Right, Mary?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So we have almost answered all the questions that has come up from the participants. And I once again thank our panelists for patiently waiting till the session, especially with the question and answers from the audience till the end. And you have given your expert opinion on the questions that has come up from the participants. And I would want to just bring this to all the participants. Notice that for any queries that you have in terms of understanding, there was a question specific to Medlearn saying what are all the contents that you have for OT staff or handling the patient, communication skills, especially during the admission discharge process. So as I said, this is the website link. So you can log on, you can reach out to us on this link that we have shared and understand all about Medlearn. So that will certainly help you. And please do get back to us. You can mail to us on the shared details. So with this, we conclude the panel discussion from our experts and mainly the launch of healthcare training in regional languages. As I have brought to your notice, we had the list of 10 healthcare related topic that was mainly based on hospital infection control, quality assurance standards. So we have those topics that has come up as the first training content and it is available. We are looking at it in 8 languages, as you can see the screen. So I wish all the participants all the best and please do reach out to us on the website information that we have shared. And thank you so much, Mr. Dheeraj sir, Dr. Dimpy ma'am, and Dr. Shrikant sir for patiently being there and for having given your insights on the topics that we have shared for the panel discussion. And I'm sure participants must have had an exciting experience understanding from the experts from the healthcare industry. Thank you, each and everyone. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Mary. Pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Our pleasure. Thank you, ma'am.